And out of this, Bill and Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify in the House Oversight Committee's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. The House was expected to vote this week to hold them in contempt of Congress. The pair was originally subpoenaed back in August. However, neither of them appeared for their depositions last month. Well, now the Clintons' legal team says they will testify if the House does not move forward with contempt proceedings. Meanwhile, Epstein's survivors are slamming the Justice Department after the latest batch of files included unredacted images and names of victims. An attorney for multiple survivors spoke about that issue with Major Garrett on The Takeout.
Two of my clients were clearly identified in these documents. Their names were not redacted whatsoever. And this is not rocket science, right? It was a very simple task of just taking the names of the victims they were aware of, putting them into a search mode in an Adobe Acrobat platform, finding the victims' names and redacting them. And they didn't even do that.
CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman is here in studio with more on all of this. Katrina, good morning. So we've got 2 points here. The Clintons testifying in these failed redactions. Let's start with the Clintons. What might we expect from a former Secretary of State, a Democratic presidential nominee, and a former president when they sit in front of Congress?
I mean, we know that former President Bill Clinton is going to be asked about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. There are photos of the two of them dating back to the 1990s, the early 2000s. We know that Clinton was on his jet on 4 different occasions. He said that he has never been to Epstein's Island. In that last document dump, we saw some sort of potentially salacious-looking photos of Bill Clinton in a hot tub in one, and another he was swimming with Ghislaine Maxwell in a pool. It is important to note that when Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche spoke with Maxwell over the summer, she said that Clinton was her friend, not Epstein's. And even Susie Wiles has said that Clinton does not appear to be implicated here, but they are going to be asked a lot of questions. They've also made it clear they might ask questions outside of Epstein. It's important to note, too, Errol, that this is fairly unprecedented. The last time that a president came before Congress for questioning was in the 1980s with Gerald Ford.
Wow.
President Trump, when they were investigating January 6th, sued to block talking before Congress, and ultimately they rescinded that subpoena. So this is highly, highly unusual for a former president to be taken to do this.
Yeah, so we'll watch this closely. Let's speak about the survivors now, because you've got lawyers for multiple survivors now asking the DOJ to effectively take the website down where they published some unredacted files on Friday. I just want to play some sound from Congresswoman Nancy Mace. She spoke about that failure on The Takeout last night.
This was a grave concern of victims prior to the release of the material. It is disturbing. I've worked with a lot of victims over the years. When judges release their names and make them public, it is humiliating, it is embarrassing, it is terrifying, and it's re-traumatizing for those who survived this nightmare.
The DOJ says it already removed some of those files, but how did this happen, and is that really enough?
I mean, how it happened, we don't know the answer to that, Errol. And I think a real flaw here is there's both been an under and an over redaction, it appears. So many of these women's names have come out, they say nearly 100. And at the same time, it appears that a lot of men's names may have been redacted. There are hundreds of thousands of pages that are redacted that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, they need to provide a written explanation for. Now, when it comes to the women, they've asked for all of the files to be taken down. They say they are getting death threats, private banking information has been disclosed, a number of Jane Does, women who never wanted their names out there, now have their information out in the public. So the irony is strong here, too. These are women who have wanted these files out in the public for so long. They're now asking for them to be taken down and carefully scrutinized and redacted to make sure that no further harm is done here.
I remember the DOJ saying they were delayed in releasing these documents because they had to be careful to redact. So how they released them without those redactions is unclear. Katrina, thank you so much.
Thank you.